All right, if you're looking for like a go-to distillery or a group of bourbons, we got 8 of them for you today.
Yeah, these are going to be your 8 go-to house brands, basically.
Welcome back to another edition of Bourbon Kingdom. I'm David.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are going to talk about 8 house brand bourbons. Yes, bourbons. that
And one like major rye producer.
Yeah, and one major rye producer. I think we need to get to the point where people stop commenting about this is not a bourbon, this is a whiskey, and this is what we're just, for all intents and purposes, we are Bourbon Kingdom, so everything that we touch is bourbon.
For the most part. But no, so we want to do a video today and just kind of talk about some brands that we love. We're only talking about the basic stuff, on shelves. We're not talking about allocation. Yes, I understand certain stuff isn't everywhere. Yes, I understand that some things might be harder for others to get than others. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. With that said, we're just going to talk overall. So even if we have a bottle out here that's sitting that you would maybe like, man, that's really hard for us to get or whatever, we'll have other videos in the B-roll or other bottles in the B-roll that you can check out and hopefully get. And I think the biggest thing to take away is these are good, reliable brands.
Yes.
That really, something might not be your profile in that brand, but overall they got hitters in there.
And you might find something else that does hit your profile in that brand.
That is true. You can expand in there and I would feel confident in checking them out. And
they're not going to break the bank. Like,
yeah, I mean, I mean, there might be a couple of them that have some expensive ones, but for the most part, they all, like I said,
I'm saying like their normal stuff is not going to break the bank on you most of the time. So,
but before we start, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notifications. Y'all been killing it on subscribing it here lately, so appreciate it. Please, please, please hit that. It helps us out a ton, and it's free for you.
Yep.
All right, just want to start off with the easy one.
Yeah.
Old Forester. Look, guys.
What list wouldn't be complete for Zach if it didn't.
What more do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like, what more can I talk about with them? Love them. You know, look, we have a love-hate relationship. Sometimes they get mad at me.
Yeah.
I still love them.
Yeah.
It's all good. Overall, they make some of the best shelf stuff you can find. They make some, just absolute amazing stuff that is, I think, very reasonable.
Yeah.
And it can compete in any blind and pretty much whip up on, like especially 19, you can whip up on those bottles.
Yep. So good.
So,
all right, my first one. This is Four Roses Single Barrel. Again, their regular lineup boasts all things that are pretty decent, from mixing to just having on the rocks or just drinking straight up. They're all generally good. Some of them we like more than others, but again, not everything hits your profile in every distillery. But these have a tendency just to be rock solid drinkers, and we love Four Roses, and I like what they do, and I think they should be on everybody's shelf.
Agreed. Out of all the big boys, they're the ones that get slept on the most.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. They do.
So,
yeah.
All right, next one. If Old Forester isn't like it's my number one. Then Old Rare Breed and Wild Turkey would have to be number 2 when it comes to just like the hitter bottle that it can produce. The quality competes with a ton of allocated. I mean, it beats typically Wild Turkey allocation every year. Yes. A Rare Breed bottle will, if not 2.
Yep.
Overall, it is just one of the best bottles out there, and that's not including your Wild Turkey 101. That's one of your best cheap value finds.
Wild Turkey Rye.
The Russell single barrels, all of that kind of stuff. It's just they make such great quality stuff.
Yeah. And if you stay below the allocated level on those, on Wild Turkey, all of those are great drinkers.
1000%.
Yeah. My next one is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Now, some of you may say that this is an allocated release, and in some ways it is, but they usually put a ton out. So because they put a ton out, it's usually readily available. Every once in a while, you'll get one like this past year's C923 that was so good that it just flew off the shelves, and they couldn't keep it. for whatever reason.
I still think Conspiracy Time, I still think they shortened that. Not shortened that release, but like held a bunch of it back.
Yeah, probably
to create an artificial hype with that.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason there wasn't more of that sat out there.
Yeah.
There really wasn't.
And this is really reasonable. 75 to $80, generally speaking. If maybe it's a little more expensive where you are, but not just the barrel proofs, but even their regular stuff. Like you get into the ryes, you get into some of the other
small
releases,
batches, the Evan Williams stuff.
Yeah.
And this also with I went to 2 liquor stores today. They had the new Elijah Craig Batch A that was just sitting, like it was just sitting on the shelf, and it's been out for a while here.
Yeah.
And then Barrel Pigs, both of them had them. Both of them, one was a big chain, one was a small chain.
Yeah.
They
sit around.
They do. And so I understand this won't be in every market. I get that. But if it's not this, Elijah Craig Small Batch, heck, even Toasted, Elijah Craig Toasted's been sitting for a while.
It really has been sitting a while. So. And this is, Heaven Hill, you just can't go wrong with them.
All right, next one. Talking about one of the rye producers, Sagamore Spirits. Again, we love them. We've talked a ton about them.
Yeah. Our
boy Joe, who's probably sitting here watching, he lives right down the street basically from it. Probably has more Sagamore than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, we absolutely love them. They do some awesome stuff. They have had blends or just, they had like MGP and then they blends their stuff. Now we're getting a lot more of just their own stocks.
Yeah.
And they just seem to be crushing it.
Yeah, they are.
And some of their bourbon stuff that we've had, if it's through, Dan and John's or some other ones that we've had, their bourbon, I think, is excellent as well.
It's really good too. I definitely agree with that. My next one is Michter's. And to me, they're a lot like Old Forester in the sense of their standard lineup is all generally good. Like it from their small batch to the American whiskey to the sour mash, they're just generally really good daily drinkers or shelfers that you can. If you're looking at your shelf and you're going, what in the world should I drink? If you grab this, you're not going to be disappointed that you grab it and have a pour of it or mix it with something or whatever else. You're just not going to be disappointed because they just produce such good shelfer whiskey. Mm-hmm. And I'm appreciative of this. And Michter's is one of my favorite distilleries anyway. And it makes it even doubly better that you can get just their standard stuff pretty much anytime you want to. I would say if you live in the United States, you're able to go put your hands on something Michter's somewhere.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I know they're not technically everywhere, but
there are a lot of places.
There are a lot of places plus the online presence of it. So overall, great. All right, my last one is going to be Bardstown Bourbon Company. I just been so impressed with them over the last year and a half, 2 years or whatever, between the Origin series, the single barrels, Disco 11, hearing great things about Disco 12, even Green River, and all that kind of stuff. Just overall, they've just absolutely crushed it. And I just,
But we would have never put them had it not been for the Origin series.
I agree. I think
we wouldn't have put them on this list.
I agree. I agree. And they're single barrels.
Yeah.
And I think you have those because they do have some premium.
But the single barrels are still reasonable. They're like $70, $65, $70.
Something like that. So
these are $55 to $60.
I agree. So overall, great job.
Yeah.
Bardstown.
Yeah. And then my last one is I'll always scream Redwood Empire to the hills. This is just from every single one of them. There's not a bad release of Redwood Empire, and even to their allocated levels, they're just reasonably priced. And if you can get them in your area, again, this is harder for us to find in our area. It's findable.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is findable, but it's harder for us to find these things in our area for whatever reason. The distribution out here is just. But I make sure that I have this on my shelf because 1, artwork, 2, taste, 3, I want other people to know about Redwood Empire as part of to me this should be in everybody's bourbon collection. Any of them, Pipe Dream, Lost Monarch, Emerald Giant, the grizzly bear thing, whatever it is.
Bonds.
The cast strength ones, the new releases that are coming out that are like experimental type things, like all of that stuff. And none of it breaks the bank, which is super cool to find a distillery that's not going to break your bank.
Yeah, agreed.
And so super cool stuff.
Yeah, so that's our list. So that's kind of our 8 house brands that we always like to keep around. Let us know some different brands that you all love and like, or if you agree, disagree, whatever. So anyways, until next time.
We'll see you.
We'll see you.